Hello, I'm Janna Loeffler, Director of Engineering at mParticle, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a beginner's guide to a quality program. Maybe you've been asked to start a quality program at your organization and don't really know where to start. Hopefully, this will help you out a little bit. First of all, we're going to look at the word quality itself. And quality is value to some person. I love that definition of quality. It really hits home that quality is in the eye of the beholder. But one thing to note, and it's really said well in this quote, is quality is never an accident. It's always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, and skillful execution. It's really looking at, many alternatives and really having that thoughtful decision and choices that you make to drive quality. Every good quality program should start with a strategy. Now, a strategy is really that mental model and thinking behind quality that you have. So, of course, your strategy document is going to be a document or presentation that really explains that mental model and thinking behind your strategy. It's that high-level documentation. Now, that's going to drive a program document. And a program is a collection of complementary projects that all come together to form a connected package of work. So this is going to be looking at what are all the different projects that I need to help implement that quality strategy. You're going to wrap them up into a program. So it's a little bit more tactical. It starts to get into how am I going to implement this strategy, this mental model and thinking. It should detail your current quality situation. It should outline your plans for the future, and it should show how you can get there. It represents a single focused endeavor. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started with your strategy document. Now, one big thing to note is that this document and your program document should be living documents. You should be reviewing them. I usually recommend on a quarterly basis to ensure that they continue to align with your organizational goals and priorities. All right, so here we start. Strategy document. There's a template for you that I've created at the URL provided if you want to look at that after this presentation to help you going forward. But I'm going to talk about some of the main sections of your strategy document. First of all, let's start out with a purpose. And this section is going to answer the question, what's in it for me? It should cover what you are actually capturing in this document and why having a quality strategy is important to the business. I like to further break this down into another section called intended use. In this section, I cover who cares about this document and who is it intended for and why do they care. So, you may talk about the purpose of having a quality strategy here, and the intended use may be for your executives. That's who I'm going to present this to, is my intended audience. There are executives, and this is to really drive alignment and consensus around the quality strategy that I have. Principles. So what are your beliefs around quality at your organization? What are the rules of conduct around this quality strategy? For example, one principle might be that quality encompasses more than just testing. Another principle may be there's no silver bullet to quality. Goals. I like to break goals down into primary and secondary goals. What are you trying to accomplish with this strategy? Since this is a strategy document, these should not be tactical goals. You don't need to explain how you're going to do what you're going to do. That's for the program document. This is more for the what are you going to do. One of your primary goals may be to develop a culture of quality, and a secondary goal out of that is to drive alignment amongst teams and members of the teams around quality and the definition of quality. So there's some different things that you can look at there. I give some more examples in the template provided. The next section is your biggest section, and this should really be the main section of your document, your strategy section. And this is where you're going to outline your mental model around quality. In this section, I also like to include any necessary RACI charts, which is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed so people understand what their responsibilities are when it comes to the strategy and what their roles may be. Once again, it's to get buy-in, to get drive alignment, so you don't kind of plan all this strategy around teams having your definition of done and everybody agrees at the executive level, but who's going to be responsible for that? Well, maybe it's going to be technical project management to ensure that, it's going to be part of the team's definition of done, or their scrum master, however your organization is aligned. So this is just to make sure you're not blindsiding anybody by giving them additional work or changing their work without letting them know. Another important aspect of your strategy document should be drawbacks. No strategy is going to be perfect. Are there any drawbacks to your strategy? Generally, there is some sort of drawback, and it's important to call this out. As the saying goes, you can usually do something cheap, fast, or good. Are you sacrificing one or more of these with this strategy? Maybe part of your strategy is building quality into your development process by increased testing before production. Well, this will definitely slow down the development process of new features. A next section may be anti-patterns. Are there any anti-patterns or alternatives to the strategy that you're proposing? Perhaps part of your strategy is to outsource regression testing to a vendor. An anti-pattern or an alternative to that is to have a dedicated internal team or have developers perform the regression testing. This is where you outline possible other scenarios and options. It's also important to know why you didn't choose these options. What are the cons? Next are your leading and trailing top indicators. This is where you're going to outline how you determine whether or not your strategy is successful. What are the indicators that you're looking at prior to the strategy, and what are the indicators that will show that this strategy is successful? Once again, your strategy may be to increase test automation. And so a leading indicator may be increase test automation by 25%, and a trailing indicator should be that, a reduced number of P0 defects, whatever it is, maybe 1 or 2 per month found by customers. So it's showing that there's a direct leading into it. This is what I'm going to be doing, part of my strategy, and this is how I'm going to show that it's successful. The last section I like to include here are any open questions. We can't know everything about everything. So this is where you list out any questions you have when it comes to your strategy. What you don't know may lead to changes or have an impact on your strategy. So it's important to call those out. So once you've got this strategy documented, you usually should present it, get alignment around it, everybody looks good. This will then help inform and drive your program document. So a program really focuses on the value delivered to the business. Like I said, it's a collection of those different projects. So it's less about producing deliverables and more how to reap the maximum benefit from using those deliverables. And we like to start with the end in mind. So start with picturing what the future state of your program will be. This is going to be your charter. It should answer the question, what specifically will be different once your program has been delivered successfully? Purpose. Once again, this is describing why we are doing this and what this program means to the organization. Goals. These are overarching goal statements. What are you hoping to specifically achieve through this program at a high level? So an example of this may be to provide mechanisms for enforcing quality standards. That may be a goal. But let's get a little bit more tactical. And this is where we're going to do that through, I like to use OKRs. You can also use SMART goals, but we're going to start setting some more tangible, specific, measurable goals. The important thing to know here is that they have to be measurable. So we're going to look at maybe one of your objectives is to improve the quality of the project. Well, one of the key results of that is, passing automation and integration tests with every pull request. So if we have passing automation and integration tests with each pull request, hopefully that'll lead to fewer defects, which will improve the quality of the project. So we're getting a little bit more specific and dwindling down a little bit more on the tactical of how we're going to do what we're going to do. But of course, you can't do this alone or by yourself. So I like to call out my team for my program. Who do I need in order to make this program successful? Think outside your team as well on any dependencies that you may have on other teams. So let's think about this. Quality encompasses more than testing per one of my principles, and my goal is to improve quality. I know I can do that through CI/CD. So maybe, setting up that CI/CD pipeline or getting test integration, automated test integration with CI/CD, maybe that's going to be part of your DevOps team instead of your team. So, really make sure that you have an idea of who needs to be on the team or at least represented. So they may not have to be a part, but you may want to be, once again, consulted or informed. Stakeholders. This is a big one because who are your stakeholders in this? Who is helping you support and drive this program from a higher level? So it usually helps to have some executive support. Now, you may already have that because you already went through your quality strategy with your executives and got alignment around that. So that's where a strategy is helpful in getting that just kind of that alignment. Next are your ceremonies and cadences. What meetings and time commitments are needed to make this program successful? What high-level topics are going to be covered during these meetings? A good example of this is how often and in what meetings are you going to report your status? Governance board. So what roles are needed to make this program successful from a management perspective? Who's going to drive this program forward and what are their responsibilities? If you need somebody from, like I said, if you're going to make changes to how project management works or product management, maybe you want to have a manager or director of project management be part of that governance board to help you drive this forward. Risk register. This is where you're going to list out what are the possible risks to your program. What are the likelihoods of them occurring? What is the impact to the program should they occur? And who is responsible for managing that risk? Every program comes with a risk, so it's good to call them out and let people know that you're already thinking about them. Now, like I said, programs are a collection of projects. So what collection of projects are part of this program? Which ones are you responsible for? Those are your in-scope projects. What projects may be needed that or are currently going on that also contribute to this program that you may not be directly responsible for? For example, you might want to increase performance testing or set SLAs on some of your services, but that's not necessarily under your scope. So you may delegate those out to a developer or your performance team might be working on those. So, are there other projects going on throughout the company that you're not directly responsible for, but still are complementary to the program? Next, you're going to have your roadmap and milestones. What are the major milestones that track the success of the program? This is where you would list out your different initiatives and target dates of completion around those initiatives. For example, and the automation of your regression test project may be part of your test automation initiative. What are the different projects that make up that initiative and what are their respective target dates? Last but not least, definitely not least, are your benefits. And this is where you're going to list out what are all the different benefits this program brings to your organization. Remember, programs are value driven. So what are those benefits? What is the value that your organization is going to get out of this? And how are you going to measure those benefits? So getting all this information together, getting it reviewed and presented out will really set a good foundation for starting any quality program at your organization. Thank you so much, and please feel free to reach out to me should you have any questions.